Hey, 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 loyal listeners. Welcome to another episode of Agency Intelligence, where we give you real agents inside real agencies, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there.
Because the forecast is out and the Age of Independence is here. Hi, everyone.
Yay! I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The first time I ever heard you say that, I was like, dude, that like fits so perfect. I loved it. I really, really, truly did love this. So
There's a lot happening on the horizon. So we're diving in. And man, I've had so much fun over the past couple of weeks, Jason, just talking to our awesome guests. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to be a guest host on Agency Intelligence. It's been quite the ride.
no problem. And I'm just now thinking, because now that you say that, I guess it's 4-5 weeks ago, somewhere around there, where, it was probably about 3 or 4 months ago, we embarked on this general thought of you doing some kind of mini series. That now has come and gone, which is really, really exciting. And I mean, let me ask you this before we go further and getting the loyal listeners just all riled up. Let's talk about those. Like, I mean, you had a specific purpose of, Jason, I would like to get these type of people and do this type of thing for Age of Independence. What is it now? I mean, what did you learn? What are some of the things, the takeaways, the things that you really enjoyed learning with the loyal listeners?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think one of the coolest things about the opportunity of guest hosting a podcast is you get to talk to these amazing guests. And so I'm just so honored that that we were joined by such rock stars in the industry. Thank you, Tolga and Kelly Donahue Piro, Alejandro, Carrie Wallace. You guys are incredible. And I think I learned so much from you guys, and we're getting such great feedback from the listeners, great questions. And so it's been really neat to kind of hear what things stuck with the listeners and what things stood out to you guys. So thanks for sending in the comments and the messages and the DMs, because that's the fun part. Is I wish everyone could be on this live with us together now, because we want to hear from you and get your reactions. And so thanks for sending that stuff in.
Well, and it's the holiday time, so it's exciting. You know what I mean? I think all of this stuff, I think we're getting more feedback, not just because you're a new platform, you're a new face to the industry. People are loving what you're talking about. So one of the reasons why we made Agency Intelligence is because people wanted me to go deeper than I did on Agents Influence, where it's more of a conversation style. And sometimes I fade from that, but it's never hurts to have more points of view in that. That's why I always like when I brought on Kelly, because she like makes me better, right? And when she's making me better,
so
she's
much
making
practical
everybody
advice.
better.
It's just so tangible and stuff
Sick.
you just put into action like right away.
Sick.
It makes you want to get like your to-do list out and just start like.
And no matter what you have, you'll have an issue in your agency, be like, hey, how should we do this better? And she'll be like, oh yeah, well, here's 7 videos. And and here's like 4 write-ups that we did. And you're just like, holy cow. I mean, so she lives it. And, and from large agencies to small agencies, they're the agency owners. I personally know them and see their financials. And I've seen before Kelly in these places, and I've seen after Kelly in these places. And so that was something. And so we are now going to use her at the Insurance Alliance starting in January.
That's exciting.
Billy Williams has always told me, Cash, your gold is in your book. Meaning that the huge book I already have, there's so much that needs to be mined out of that, right?
So much opportunity.
That's what our focus is on Personal Line. Since we write the whales, as the loyal listeners know, our focus is how do rather than reaching out, let's reach out to the people that are already inside of our agency, try to build up that loyalty, cross-sell, retain them more, have them become our biggest fans, so they go out and tell people to come and see us, and we have a higher closing ratio.
And when it comes to retention processes, Kelly really knows her stuff. So if you haven't caught that episode yet, just a few episodes back, we talk about just some of the things about getting your team on board with getting outside of their comfort zone with some of these things that just have to happen if you're going to be mining the gold out of your book. Things like those outbound renewal calls and doing the reshop or the remarket live over the phone. I could talk about that all day because it applies to the sales side and the retention side. And it just makes such a huge difference. So
It does. It does.
And that's one of the things that I love about the insurance industry is that it's so broad, Jason. So just like you were saying, there's so many angles, so many perspectives. There's small agencies, large agencies. And so my goal with these episodes has been to bring a perspective that is new and it's fresh, but it's something that an agency of any size could walk away with some tangible takeaways and some new ideas and some things that you can put into practice to, every once in a while, we just kind of get used to doing things the same way. So I want to shake that up a little bit and make it a little bit easier to get out of a rut if you find yourself in one. We're coming to the end of the year now. I can't believe it. I say that every year, but it's been a really crazy year. And so I'm kind of in a little bit of culture shock that it's Thanksgiving, Christmas is around the corner. And this is the time of year where I start trying to reflect and think about, what did I learn this year? There's usually good things, bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I start thinking about January. I keep thinking about that fresh slate. I keep thinking about, hey, we're going to spend time with friends and family over the holidays. We're going to hit it hard at work over the holidays, just like we always do. But in January, we want to use that opportunity to have that that new chapter, turn over the new leaf. And so that was kind of my goal with these episodes, was to just kind of help bring some new ideas that spark that creativity that's already there. You wouldn't be an insurance agent if you weren't already full of ideas and entrepreneurial spirit, but sometimes it's fun just to have people come along and challenge the status quo a little bit.
I think there's a name for this, maybe. I'm just now thinking of this. This is why I'm kind of sitting here smiling as I'm listening to you. My brain is going and I'm thinking it's almost, I'm going to butcher this name. The loyal listeners are used to that, but it's called it's not a name, it's a phrase, or it's called feng shui.
Okay.
It's like when you rearrange your furniture, it's like an aura that you have in your, it's like it's a,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this is like insurance feng shui, right? That's what we get in January.
I like it.
Because you kind of get to move around things. As you said, it does feel different when you move the couch from this wall to this wall. It just gives this different feeling, you know what I mean? And it doesn't even hurt that 6 months later, you move it back to the other wall and then you get the feeling again. And you're like, oh man, I remember when it used to be like this, so it's insurance feng shui. I think that's what we need to call January.
I love it. And I'll add to that the KonMari method, which you may not know of, Jason, because you're a guy, but we have some women listeners out there that don't know exactly what I'm talking about.
KonMari?
Okay, so the KonMari method.
Okay.
I'm positive that at least 30% of your listeners know what I'm talking about right now. KonMari. And it's all about taking out the clutter, getting rid of the noise, and just peeling it back to the things that you really love and that you're really excited about. And so I think,
it could have a insurance feng shui, KonMari, that thing you said. Yeah.
I think we're onto something here. A KonMari agency would get rid of the fluff and we would just
rearrange things. Right. Rearrange
Keep
things.
The main thing. Get rid of the rest because we're too busy for that.
It's like, have you danced lately? You should. That's the kind of things.
I'm a bad dancer. So
really,
I'm drinking coffee right now. We'd probably have to be drinking something else if I was going to be dancing.
Sound like my wife. My wife says she doesn't like to dance. She has a couple beers. She likes to dance all of a sudden. It's funny. Does Justin like to dance?
Oh yeah. We're K-pop fans, so that's where you'll normally see them.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I have a video, but it's under lock. So
sorry, loyal listeners, they're used to this though. But going back to the podcast of what we were talking about, that's okay. I like the fact that you and I can go off on rants. That's cool. Hanley and I have a master doing that together. It's hard to find somebody like that. But going back to one of the things I liked about the podcast you did with I think it's the one that's recently, by the way, loyal listeners, we are recording on November 12th right now. And so I think the one that just came out with is Alejandro. Am I saying his name right?
Alejandro Velez, one of my colleagues at Quantum.
And why I like this is I got to tell you, when I first heard it, I thought, man, how is this going to go off with independent insurance agents when we're talking about call centers, right? even me as an independent agent. And as I'm sitting there listening to it, I started getting relief, and it was incredible how much of a good guy Alejandro was. And you say, I mean, you obviously know him better than anybody.
Yeah, that one strikes a chord, right? Because I mean, the call center concept makes us twitch a little bit, and
does.
it should. There's a lot of good reasons why we feel that way, and so that's what we tried to unpack in that episode. Is like, how are these big Goliath directs like so successful? You know, they're spending billions of dollars on marketing that we're never gonna have that resource, right? And so it's like, how do we compete with that? But they're not just spending billions of dollars of marketing, they're also using it to try to like retrain what the client should expect out of the insurance experience, right? And I think that's the part we don't like about it, is we're like, no, this isn't the right way to do business. And so we as agents are really like proud of and protective of the fact that like, hey, like you need to work with a personal agent. You need to have someone to talk with. It's that important. Alejandro talks about that in the episode. But call centers do some things that are like really, really effective. And like, what if we could learn from that? So the challenge is to not let our disdain for the things that they're doing poorly hold us back from being able to like pull the curtain back and like see, okay, how is it built? Like, how are they able to manage volume that's that high? What can we learn from that? Because like, what if I could adopt some of those things in my local agency that's already providing the best consultation and the best experience out there, so that I can scale and grow and compete and keep up? And so we talk a lot about efficiency, and we don't want to be speedy, but we want to be efficient. I think that's so important. So if you're not segmenting your agency yet, you've got to start segmenting as far down as you can. That's one of the things we talked about. And quoting live. I think this is a really, really big one. So I hit on it every opportunity that I can. That is something that if you call a 1-800 number, they're going to give you a price while you're on the phone, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean we have to do it in like 12 minutes either. So we have to stop hanging up the phone, and we have to stop giving prices over email. Email's not our friend. And I think there's some things we can learn there, and it doesn't mean that we have to lose the heart and soul of our agency along the way.
Yeah. Efficiency is doing the same with less. Think about that sometimes. That the loyal listeners know that I'm really big on efficiency and productivity, because I think that they lie on the opposite end of the spectrum, but it's the mesh in the middle of that is what gets it. And I think that's what I was hearing when he was talking about speedy versus efficiency, is that sometimes when people are like, oh, I'm efficient, we got that done really quickly. No. It means that you were able to do the same thing that you may have done yesterday, but with less work or with less staff becomes more efficient, maybe with less process or less time on the phone, whatever that could possibly be. But as opposed to productive is doing more with the same rather than same with the less, right? And so I think it's that middle is what we're trying to look for.
The productivity is really important. And so I think that where the like really big shift happens is when you can start then having the economy of scale conversation, right? So I use the term efficiency like really, really broadly, but let's say one of the big challenges we have as local insurance agents is that it's really hard to achieve economy of scale. You've got like you as the agency owner, you're wearing tons of hats. You have like your salesperson over here, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 salespeople. And then maybe you have 2 or 3 service people in the mix. But imagine like what it costs marketing wise, you know, salary wise, leadership wise to run that ship, right? Now imagine a world where an agency where you have one sales manager. So not you, the agency owner, but you have a sales leader, a manager, and like 12 salespeople report to that person. Then how much does it cost leadership wise, coaching wise, education wise, to get those 12 people up and running? It's a lot less per person than if it's like you and you have 2 or 3 people depending on you for all of their coaching and training and leadership. And it just, so it's about Katlyn, sorry, just on this topic, when we've looked at it and numerous agents listening can do the math themselves, it is about 45 to 55% of the of annual revenue is spent on labor. When you're talking about that, just the cost of scaling.
I'm talking health insurance. I'm talking, their salary, the taxes, these other things, the trainings, everything that you're putting in could be 45 to 55% of costs. So if you're going to come to me and say, hey, why don't you look at maybe doing this call center for this or this reason? If you can save 5, 10, 15% off that total cost, we're talking thousands, and in some agencies, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what I have found, Katlyn, is that inside the mastermind 7 years ago, you would have probably found very few agents in there that were doing call centers or any kind of service center.
I wasn't doing it 7 years ago.
See, and now agents are. And you know what, though? A lot of agents have tried it and it didn't work. And then the same agent that you would think it wouldn't work does work. You know what I mean?
I think 7 years ago, I was like 8 months pregnant in agent training, and I hadn't even like become the agency owner yet. I had agency training in Chicago in the middle of winter and like the ice.
Sister, you've come far. You've come far.
I made a lot of friends though, because like it's icy and everyone was like, can I carry your bags for you? They don't want it. It's
strategy
awesome.
At all times.
So the moms know that like when you're pregnant, everyone treats you like a queen. And then when you pop the baby out, they expect you to fend for yourself. It's okay.
That is true. That is a lot of truth.
If I stop for a minute and think about all of the things that have changed in the past 7 years, just in my own career and life, it's a bit of a whirlwind to think what can happen in 7 years.
Bill Gates, that famous saying I'm hearing a lot right now is that you will always overestimate what you can do in a year and grossly underestimate what you can do in 10 years.
It's so
7 years. You were doing that 7 years. That still gives you a solid 3 or 4, depending on how long that 7 years is going, how good you add math. About 3 years of still before you even get to that 10 years, you're going to accomplish so much more just in those 3 years.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. The little ones, how old's the oldest?
Karis is 6 and Katlyn is 5.
See, almost 10. Wow. See,
we had them back to back. It's awesome.
Yeah, back to back.
They're besties.
Yeah, I can tell. And I love how you guys spend time with them and show it on and spend it on Instagram.
Yeah. If you guys haven't found me on Instagram yet, it's under Katlyn Eggar, but I try to post stuff that's just about my lifestyle. And so you'll see stuff about the Eggar family and our crazy travels and our 2 little curly top kiddos. And then lots of insurance, coaching, life, Age of Independence, fun stuff.
Yeah, you get all kind of fun tips and stuff out there. You do a fantastic job in that. So loyal listeners, I mean, this has become a life of its own. That's just the life that it's the personality of Katlyn. Sarah, I talk with Sarah a lot, who makes Katlyn and I sound really good, her and the whole team. And I always use the word dynamic. And so, and that's the way that I see you. And I told Justin that as well, that he's very lucky, and we know same way with him. It always is better on the other side. The guys are much more fortunate. So anyways, my poor wife. And so I want to let the loyal listeners know that we're going to continue on with this. Katlyn is going to take this 100% by the reins, as she has anyways for the last 3 or 4 episodes. We're going to roll out on Mondays. Is going to be Age of Indiependence. And I'm really, really excited about it. You're still going to get Jason on Tuesdays and Fridays. Josh right now is reading a book and is going to be recording it with some authors that you're going to love. But in the meantime, Katlyn and I will be carrying it on weekly. And Katlyn, we're really excited to have you. And this is a long time. You and I have been behind the scenes trying to put this together. And I think that this is really, really big for the industry. I really do. And I'm welcoming you to this platform.
Thank you. I am super excited. So I can't wait to be the host of Age of Independence, and for us to meet some more amazing guests together with the listeners. It's super cool to think about, because in January of 2020, when I had lots of big dreams for the year, podcast host wasn't on the list. It wasn't on my radar. And so it was a really nice surprise that this all came together. And man, the wheels in my head have been turning about how I can just get the freshest content to you guys, new perspectives and things that will just help spark that creativity and that that desire to just keep pushing, keep growing, keep doing great things. So I'm super
Yeah.
excited Mondays, guys. And I've got some good ideas of some things we can do to over the holidays to really be thinking about what we learned this year, how we can relate to our team end of year, goals,
Mhm.
processes, things, leadership wise in your agency. And then going into January, some cool processes and stuff that we can be thinking about that help us achieve the goals that we won't be able to help thinking about as we ring in the new year.
You have been all and inspired from being an independent agent. That's where one of the many names that we went through trying to come up with this. Um, I always call it an oh beep yeah. If I hear something that I know, this came from Preston Schmidley, but if I hear something that it's like, that's it, right? And we're going through these names and it's kind of like, yeah, but, and then you said, Jason, what about Age of Independence? Okay. And I was like, and it was Independence. And I was like, oh my gosh, Independence is fantastic. And when I went to go spell it, type it out to Sarah to tell her, I dropped the I in it, which is indie.
Brilliant.
And it was like,
It all just came
beep.
together.
Yeah. It was like that. That's it. And it was awesome. Now, little listeners though, and help me where I'm wrong, Katlyn, you're trying to bring to the limelight that the grass is greener on the other side, actually, when you're on
Yes.
the exclusive or the captive side and you're looking over, and there's things you've learned, your expertise and your success over there, what you're doing now with Quantum, what your role is, how you're already helping agents. You kind of am I correct that it's basically that foundation is what you want to bring to the limelight? Tell me where I'm wrong.
Absolutely. So, Age of Independence, it just made sense because I started out as a captive agent. It's just a big part of my
Mm-hmm.
history, my journey, coming through from my very first scratch agency when I didn't know anything about insurance to where I am today. And so there was that really big milestone that happened when I transitioned from the captive world to independent. So part of my message is getting this word out to the captive agents. I just spoke to somebody last week who's a high performing captive agent, and they've had to reduce their staff size by 50% because close ratios are so low. So if that's you, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity on the other side. But when
Yep.
I crossed that bridge and found myself in the independent world, rocking and rolling and loving it, I was shocked to see how many independent agents didn't see the same kind of opportunity on the horizon that I saw. And so that's what my message is that I'm bringing you guys. Whether you are captive right now, whether you're independent right now, there is so much opportunity, and
Mm-hmm.
you can build over the next 3 years what took the agent of the past 20. And we're going to use technology. We can do it with personal lines. We can do it with commercial. But at the end of the day, we're going to create more opportunity for people in our communities that need the best job in the world, which we have sitting waiting for them in our offices. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to change our lifestyle because we're going to go from just slogging it out every day, trying to get out of a rut, doing things the same way, to being the coaches and the leaders and the world changers that we really want to be. And that's the reason we
World
wanted to be friends
changers,
to begin with.
domination. That is you really said it well. There's so much opportunity, and you said the word opportunity over and over, and it's the saying that Jason that I've said for a long time. People laugh, and I love it when I hear him say it out there. Is that this is the insurance industry is the greatest industry. Go ahead, loyals, listeners, that God ever created. That's what I say all the
Yeah.
time. I never said independent insurance agents. I said insurance. So it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, you're still in the greatest industry God ever created. And you know this, Katlyn, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do, the reason I'm so excited about having people like you expand the platform to give more value out there, and every other podcast that pops up out there, as long as we're moving this industry forward, because there's other 10, 5, 15-year-olds out there who don't know what they're going to do to grow up like I did. And they're going to realize that they're going to run into this industry and they're going to have their lives change. They're going to go places they never thought they'd go. They're going to experience things they never thought they'd experience. And they are going to live lives that they thought that they would never live. And that is why we do what we do. Because in the 70s and 80s, there was people laying this road for me and you. And it's the greatest industry God ever created for that reason. So I'm so excited for you.
I second that. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I
It's going to
was
be awesome.
kayaking with my aunt this summer at the lake over the weekend, and she and her husband are missionaries, teachers. They just moved back from Bangladesh, and
Ooh.
we're kayaking, and she's like, "So, Katlyn, why are you in insurance? What do you love about insurance?" And that's exactly what I told her. I was like, "It's life changing, and you don't have to have a college degree, you don't have to have a business degree, you
Yeah.
can get started in it and create and mold this amazing life for you and your family while you're changing the lives for your clients and people in your community, and just make a huge difference because you have so much say in what you do."
And it's one of the fun parts of owning your own business is that I think about this. Like, I'm going to grow my agency, and when I sell, I'm going to sell to somebody else. And as I ride off in the sunset, that then is going to turn around and make a lifestyle for themselves on the things that we are building right now.
Pretty cool.
Everybody looks in downtown and goes, man, I'd love to have a skyscraper because when I die, that thing's going to still be there. You're building a skyscraper. You just got to picture what a skyscraper is. You got to change the image. Like my boy Billy Williams always says, Cass, what denomination do you think in? Do you think in hundreds? Do you think in thousands, millions, or billions? Because once you change that mindset, things will start changing. What is your skyscraper? That's what I ask loyal listeners out there. What's your skyscraper? Because you're building it right now, and it's going to be here for a long time. I love it. Oof, I'm excited. It's getting near lunchtime, and I'm really hungry, but yeah.
That's what makes the boring, hard parts of what we do worth it, right? Like, nobody likes the spreadsheets. I mean, maybe you do,
Some people do. So they're weird. They're weird, but that's okay.
We all have the hard parts, right? So let's just keep pushing through it and stretching ourselves, because that's where the magic happens.
In the 20s is the age of independence. Throw it out there. That's an I in there. That's indie. Just like you loyal listeners know, indie tech, hashtag indie tech. InsurTech's good, but they don't know what we do. That's why we had to make indie tech. So yes. Katlyn, anything else you want to close up? I want you to know this. I've got some new questions. And so if you want me to throw one of my new questions to you to kind of wrap up the show, because I didn't start like I normally do, with the droid and all that, because we've already done that, right? We've already been there.
Right. Yeah.
And then I usually end it with leaders are readers and readers are leaders. And I know you're a leader, so you're definitely a reader, right? Here's my new one.
Okay.
Came up with it this weekend. I've done 2 podcasts, but they'll be coming out later. So I asked people, okay, so, hey, I want to get to know what you do in your off time. You're a reader, blah, 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 blah. And then not only that, what are you watching? Because that's kind of interesting, especially in the COVID time that we have. And some people, I don't know how you spend your time if it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you get your kicks because they're on Netflix. Maybe it's just you and Justin and your boo when you watching Hulu. But I want to know, what are you watching?
Guys, that's so embarrassing. So our loyal listeners don't know yet, like, exactly how insurance nerdy Justin and Katlyn really are. So, I'm going to come clean. So, COVID, right? Everybody was like, we're going to get through this. Justin and I, my husband, gave up TV and alcohol for COVID because we have a business to build. So yeah.
Good for you.
I will say though that I really love watching The Office when I've had a really long day and I'm really burned out, and I'm like,
that's a staple.
I'm just going to watch The Office, and it always makes me feel better.
But you guys gave up alcohol and gave up the TV because that is dedication, Katlyn.
Well, it's been an action-packed year. We're building Quantum the first year from 6 employees to 120, not counting the agency force, and the processes that go into getting them up and running. And so we went all in and decided to give it everything, and our team does as well. So it really we just appreciate every moment that they put in.
That is exceptional.
You guys send me a message, let me know, like, do you want me to do an episode with Justin Eggar?
Oh, you should.
Ask him like some of this stuff and see what he says, because he'll be like, what? I didn't give up TV. I can't give up my sci-fi. So
he's a sci-fi dude.
We should have him on. Yeah, he complains that I don't watch that kind of stuff with him.
Yeah, I don't watch that kind of stuff either. It has to be realistic. I'm weird that way. It has to be
Really?
realistic. So even comedy, I like comedy, but it's not something I enjoy watching because I know it's not really going to happen. And I'll even watch a scary movie until like a ghost comes out of the wall and I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm not going to watch this.
You
And it
lost
doesn't
your
even
trust.
scare me. I'm just like, this is stupid. I have something, I could go watch a biography or autobiography, read it on Bill Gates or something, right? That's the way my brain thinks. That's now thrillers. You can get me on a thriller because it makes, if I have to think about how things are going to
And you
happen,
want to figure it out.
then I can figure it out. Then I'm like, okay, I can watch that. Other stuff, I have a hard time on it. I've said it millions of times. I'm on another show now, but Queen's Gambit was the last one that I watched. That was addiction. I mean,
Ash Fitz like messaged me on Instagram over the weekend,
mhm.
and she's like, "Girl," she's like, "Jason was right. You have to watch this."
Yeah, dude, it's good. It's really good. And you look at it and it's like some girl with chest. You're like, what? No, it's good. It's really good. So it's so
The
good.
next one I'll have to look up. So,
Yeah. Well,
so
after you get done building the business, let me ask you a question real quick.
Mhm.
Because I really don't know this. At Quantum, I mean, you guys started, when exactly did it start?
Quantum launched
Seven,
fall of 2019, so it's about
that's right.
14 months old.
And how many agencies and businesses do you have? I know you guys are constantly growing.
So we have 2 flagship call centers in Virginia and Texas that are kind of like our flagship, like mega agency call center environments. That's our direct side.
Okay.
And there's about 120 employees on that side. They wrote $22 million in the first 12 months. So super, super proud of them.
Wow.
And
Fantastic.
we launched our agency force this summer. And we have 30 agencies from Hawaii to New York. And they're agencies
Fantastic.
of all different sizes, backgrounds, some from the captive world, some from the independent world. And my role in all of that is the education and the sales training, the coaching for both agents and their staff. So
I don't really know if in the 4 or 5 podcasts we've ever done together that I've ever asked you that. So I was like, you started rattling those numbers off at the end. I'm like, you know what? I've never even asked you. I don't have a clue how many agencies you guys really are working with.
thanks.
Dude,
It's
that's fantastic. And the 2
super
call
fun.
centers is awesome.
Thanks. It's my dream job, and I love it. So it makes
Right.
it easy to give up TV when you can be working on Quantum. So
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you
thank
for
you.
answering my questions. Do you like my question?
I love
Do
it. And
you have
so
my new question?
I love the new question, and I'm 100% confident that the rest of the people that you ask will have a better answer than I did.
I don't know if it's a better answer, maybe to that
A
specific
more
question,
intriguing answer.
but more intriguing. But that was pretty good, though. I'm proud of you and Justin. And I got to tell you, I'm not an alcoholic, but that would be tough.
Well,
That is
we
no,
didn't
no,
have
no.
much
No,
alcohol to
I'm
give
talking.
up.
I'm talking. See that I would. That's what I'm saying. I would because
Yeah.
I mean I'm going to say at least 2 to 4 times a week. I'm going to have some wine. I'm going to sit out on my back porch and drink beer. I mean that's just how Cass rolls. That's where all these ideas come from that you
Right.
loyal
Yeah.
listeners like.
It
But
wasn't a big hurdle because we didn't have much to give up. But I think we were thinking, it's COVID. We're in this weird quarantine thing. We're just gonna not have chips and wine laying around.
right. And that kind of helps. And all in my wife and I's life is our 21-year-old doesn't live with us. Our 15-year-old is always out with his friends. So I get home, it's just her and I all the time. And to break open a bottle of wine at 5:30 or 6 is an easy
I
thing
mean,
to
I
happen.
can't blame you guys. Even sports were canceled for a while. So,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
heart goes out to the world. It was
It was wild, but for you guys to
it
do it
was.
during that time is what I'm saying.
So,
That's what's crazy. Not just about
well,
wow, but during COVID. So good for
yeah,
you guys. That shows your
thank you.
commitment and dedication. And like you said, you got to be a leader. That's what you got to do to get everybody else to do it.
It's been totally worth it. And I love questions. So I want to hear from the listeners too. We talked about my Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. The Age of Independence podcast will have a video playlist on YouTube. So if you put Katlyn Eggar in there, it'll pop up, but it's kind of hard to spell. Katlyn Eggar, KatlynEggar, and Age of Independence is spelled Age of Indie, IE. So find us on there. It's on the Agency Intelligence platform. The podcast episodes will be in the same spot on Agency Intelligence Mondays. And you can always DM me, send me an email at education@quantumassurance.com and let me know like what kind of topics you want to hear on the episode,
Absolutely.
who you want to hear from. because this is
And
about
not only that, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I mean, that is really, really huge. If you could please subscribe, because then that's going to start getting all the lives that I do, these
yes.
that she does, any lives she does, everything will be funneled into there. But we need you to subscribe. So please do that. And if you want, go subscribe and then send Katlyn an email at the email she just told you. And then she'll send it over to me and we'll make sure we get you a loyal listener shirt out. Okay. So that, see, and that, but you got to tell us that you subscribed. We got to see it. We'll go and look and check. I don't know if that's even possible, but it sounds good. But we'll take your word for it as long as we start going. So no, I really do. I want some subscriptions to that. I think YouTube is a powerful thing. You're getting around 40 to 50 views to these podcasts that you've video casts, whatever you want to call them, that you've been doing. So kudos to you. Once again, I do appreciate it. And I think I'm going to wrap it up.
Loyal listeners,
Good.
thanks so much. And I'll see you on the Age of Independence platform. Looking forward to it, guys.
Monday. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. It's going to just fall right into your phone. This has been Jason Cass with Agency Intelligence Podcast, where I give you real agents inside real agencies, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they make you believe out there, because the forecast is
out and the Age of Independence is here. We needed a sound effect. We'll have to have Sarah add one in. Like,
well, we'll do some kind of sound effect. Yeah, and the Age of Independence is here. This has been Cass. She's Eggar. We're out.